In a classroom where chaos reigns, a new teacher steps in, young, charming, and underestimated. But when bullies push her to the edge, they unleash a storm they never saw coming. In just 1 minute, they're begging for mercy. Want to know how she turned the tables? Subscribe for epic stories that flip the script on power and payback. The first day of school at Westbridge High was always a circus, but for Mia Harper, it was more like stepping into a lion's den with a smile. At 25, she was the youngest teacher ever hired at this rough-around-the-edges public school, known for its graffiti-streaked halls and students who treated authority like a punching bag. Mia, with her warm hazel eyes, cascade of chestnut hair, and a wardrobe that screamed, "I'm approachable but professional," walked into room 204 with a quiet confidence that made the students pause for about 10 seconds. The classroom was a mix of chipped desks, flickering fluorescent lights, and 32 teenagers sizing her up like wolves circling prey. She set her leather satchel on the desk, her smile unwavering, and wrote her name on the board, Ms. Harper. The whispers started immediately. "She looks like she just graduated," one kid muttered. "Bet she cries by lunch," another snickered. At the back, a group of seniors, led by Troy Baxter, a broad-shouldered kid with a permanent sneer and a rap sheet of detentions, exchanged smirks. Troy leaned back, arms crossed, already plotting how to make this new Teacher's Day a living. Hell. Mia, oblivious to their scheming, began her lesson on To Kill a Mockingbird, her voice bright and engaging, as if she believed every kid in the room was hanging on her every word. She didn't notice the paper airplane that sailed past her head or the stifled laughs when it landed in her neatly organized stack of handouts. Troy Baxter was the undisputed king of room 204. He'd been at Westbridge since freshman year, and, by senior year, he'd perfected the art of disruption. Tall, with a buzz cut and a leather jacket he wore like armor, he commanded loyalty from his crew. Jake, a wiry kid with a quick laugh and a knack for crude drawings, Kayla, whose sharp tongue could cut through steel, and Marcus, a quiet giant who followed Troy's lead without question. They'd driven out 2 substitute teachers last semester. One quit after a week, the other after a particularly creative prank involving a whoopee cushion and superglue. Troy saw Mia as no different. Young, inexperienced, and way too pretty to be taken seriously. "She's gonna fold like a cheap lawn chair," he whispered to Jake, who snorted and started doodling a caricature of Mia with exaggerated features. Kayla, flipping her dyed purple hair, added, "Let's see how long she lasts before she's running to the principal." Marcus just nodded, his eyes fixed on Mia as she talked about Scout Finch's courage. The plan was simple. Start small, test her limits, and escalate until she broke. Troy flicked a crumpled paper ball at the board, missing Mia's head by inches. She didn't flinch, just kept talking about Atticus Finch's moral backbone. The class murmured, impressed or annoyed. It was hard to tell. Troy wasn't deterred. He leaned over to Jake and whispered, "Next one's gonna hit her." Mia wasn't blind. She'd grown up in a neighborhood not unlike Westbridge's, where survival meant reading the room before someone read you. She'd seen Troy's type before, cocky, desperate to prove something, hiding insecurity behind bravado. She'd clocked his crew the moment she walked in. Jake's fidgety energy, Kayla's eye rolls, Marcus's silent loyalty. She knew they were testing her, and she was ready. Not because she'd studied classroom management in her teaching program, though she had acing every course, but because Mia Harper had a past that Westbridge High couldn't begin to guess at. She'd been a foster kid, bouncing between homes, learning to navigate tempers and power plays by the time she was 10. She'd talked her way out of fights, charmed her way into second chances, and once, at 16, stared down a gang leader who thought he could intimidate her into giving up her bus fare. That fire still burned in her, hidden beneath her soft cardigans and warm smiles. So when the second paper ball grazed her shoulder, she didn't react the way Troy expected. She didn't yell or blush or stammer. Instead, she paused mid-sentence, picked up the paper, and unfolded it with the calm precision of a surgeon. Inside was a crude note: "Nice skirt, Teach. Want a detention?" The class held its breath, waiting for tears or a scolding. Mia just smiled, a glint in her eyes that Troy didn't catch. "Creative," she said, holding up the note. "But if you're going to throw shade, at least spell detention right." The class erupted in laughter, and Troy's smirk faltered. The rest of the period was a chess game. Troy's crew upped the ante. Jake accidentally dropped his textbook with a deafening thud. Kayla asked a deliberately dumb question about whether Scout was a boy or a girl. Marcus coughed loudly every time Mia turned to the board. Mia didn't miss a beat. She answered Kayla's question with a detailed breakdown of Scout's character, turning it into a mini-lecture on gender roles in literature that left Kayla speechless. When Jake's book hit the floor, she walked over, picked it up, and handed it back with a look that said, "I see you. Marcus's coughing fits?" She offered him a bottle of water from her bag, her tone so kind it was almost mocking. The other students, sensing something new, started paying attention. Mia's lesson wasn't just about a book, it was a performance. She moved through the room like she owned it, her voice steady, her eyes catching every flicker of defiance. By the bell, Troy was seething. She hadn't cracked. Worse, she'd made him look small without raising her voice. As the class filed out, he muttered to his crew, "Tomorrow we go harder." Day 2 was when things escalated. Troy had spent the night texting his crew, planning a prank that would cement his legend. The idea was simple but brutal. A rigged water bottle that would drench Mia when she opened it, paired with a fake love letter slipped onto her desk to humiliate her further. Jake had crafted the letter, full of over-the-top flattery and a fake signature from your secret admirer, Troy. Kayla added a touch of glitter to the envelope for maximum embarrassment. Marcus, ever the muscle, was tasked with swapping Mia's water bottle with the rigged one during the morning chaos. By the time Mia walked into room 204, the trap was set. She wore a navy blazer and a cream blouse, her hair pulled back in a low bun, looking every bit the professional despite the faint circles under her eyes from grading papers late. The class was quieter today, sensing the tension. Troy leaned back, smirking, as Mia set her bag down and reached for the water bottle. The room went silent. She twisted the cap, and water exploded upwards, soaking her blouse and dripping onto the floor. The class gasped, then laughed, a nervous edge to it. Troy's crew high-fived under the desks. Mia stood there, drenched, her face unreadable. Then she did something no one expected. She laughed. Not a nervous giggle, but a full, rich laugh that filled the room. "Well," she said, wiping water from her chin, "I guess someone's feeling creative today." The laughter died down, replaced by confusion. Mia didn't scream or run out. Instead, she grabbed a stack of paper towels from a cabinet. How did she even know they were there? And started blotting her blouse. "Let's talk about creativity," she said, her voice calm but carrying an edge, "because whoever did this put in some effort, planning, execution, teamwork. That's potential, misguided but potential." She tossed the soaked towels into the trash and picked up the glittery envelope from her desk. Troy's stomach dropped. She opened it, read the fake love letter aloud, her tone dripping with amusement. "Your beauty lights up the room, Ms. Harper." Wow, poetic, but the handwriting looks familiar. She held up the letter,